What is this beautiful scenery that I'm showing you? Well, this is tall grass. What the heck are we showing me tall grass for? Well, when you live around here, you have to get rid of fire danger. And this is on the back 20 acres, so I can't get to this with my mower usually in time. And once it's dry like this and you hit a rock, you'll start a fire. So for a situation like this, a lot of times the best we could do is to put a fire break so that if fire starts, there's a way to stop it. Still, what's this got to do with anything related to bonsai? Well, see this? This is an oak tree. And most of the time we don't want it, so we take the tractor and just kind of push it with the weeds and get it cleaned out. Well, I had the same situation here. It was tall, dry grass, but this area, what I did was I turned on the sprinkler for half a day at a time and then move the sprinkler, mow, and things like that. So I got it cleaned up, more or less. Oh, this area I use a combination of mowing and scraping. Make sure that we don't get fire that go up the tree. We don't want these to catch fire, right? So, well, this is one of the reasons why I'm always behind, because there's all this chores to do, make sure that my piece of property don't burn, right? So anyway, still, what are we looking at all this when we're supposed to be looking at bonsai? So anyway, patience, people. We'll go back in the studio and I'll show you what I'm trying to get at. So this chapter is going to be called Wild Olive. These olives are called wild olive because they grow wild out here. They have the advantage of being good bonsai material because the leaves don't get big like the European olives. But it doesn't produce a lot of fruit, but just enough so that birds eat it, and then they kind of scattered all over this area. So within the oaks, we find these olives that's growing just wild. Well, anyway, I was in this one section where the grass was too tall, and then I couldn't get my mower, and so I took my front loader and I'm pushing, right? And I'm not looking for materials, but there was this thing here, and I kind of thought it was an olive. I didn't give much thought, so I just pushed it. Well, you see this scar right here? That's what happens when you take your tractor and push it and try to knock it out. And I had no intention of keeping it anyway. I was just going to throw it in that big pile and then let it compost in its own. But anyway, when I did that, the whole thing came out and all the root looked like it just is intact. So I said, okay, then I should just give it a shot. Well, most of the time I'm carrying some sort of cutting instrument on my tractors. So I took the saw and cut it and brought it back. And so that you could see this deep scar, right? Well, we learned in the past that we could take some of these imperfection and make it something interesting. So like I was saying, I was not looking for materials, it's just that I thought I'd go ahead and see if I could make something out of this. So anyway, right now it's in that recovery mode. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. All these little shoots are coming out. They're probably coming out of the root zone. And the main part looks like it's going to be okay. I'll probably wait a year, maybe even 2 years, and then start carving and start working on the main trunk. Well, it's only been a couple months. we're in August, and the tag said it was in June. So not even 2 months, because we're at the early part of August, and this was mid June. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show you, was the wild olive. But that's not the main part. I'll show you what really is impressing me. Okay, well, on the tractor, this is the ground line. See, these represents the weeds, very tall weeds. And so I only saw this part here, and I didn't think too much about it. So I took the tractor and pushed it. Well, when I pushed it out, it turned out to be, there's this big glob or ball-like thing here, the root structure, and it went down with the taproot and things like that. And I'm thinking, okay, I could put this into the container, but then later on we will have the problem of having too deep of a root, or too deep of a root to put into a decent shallow bonsai pot. So what I did was I took the reciprocating saw and cut that. But thinking back, I should have used my mini chainsaw. I would have gone faster and probably a little cleaner cut. But it doesn't matter anyway. I did the cut like that, and then because there were sufficient roots here, this one, and then I cut it right here. So this is the first part that I showed you. But what I want to show you is this part here. And there's no foliage per se. So on an olive, are we going to be able to get root cuttings? So anyway, that's the next part. Here it comes. Okay, well, this was collected in June the 23rd, and today is August 10th. So it hasn't been that long. But look at all this. This is all the things that shot out, because all I had was this chunk of wood. Just this is the part that was cut. And the reason I should have used a chainsaw, because you see this irregular cut, this is a reciprocating saw, and it was not the right tool. But I was too lazy to go get the chainsaw, so anyway, I used the reciprocating saw to cut. That's why it's irregular. But you could see that it's coming. So I got another interesting piece. And I've seen this done before. So this one here, I could let it all come up and select 3 or 5, and then make those into trees. But I think I've seen where they have taken and cut these into sections. So that might be the future. I'm just glad that it took off. And I was surprised when I was checking this morning. I figured it would take me a half a year to a year to see results, but this is within months. So anyway, that's why I call this my wild olive. I mean, it grows wild, and then it grows like crazy, so wild. Being an olive is probably okay to leave it in full sun, but we still got this August and parts of September where it gets fairly intense. So I'll put it back where it's been in 50% shade, somewhat well protected, but plenty of sun. So anyway, this has been the wild olive that I got from my piece of property when it was growing wild, and it's a wild olive. Okay, so I'll see you again real soon in another chapter.